Today we're making squash chow chow. We have about 12 cups of zucchini. You can also use yellow squash or any other type of soft squash that you might have. Begin with that, and then we have 3 green bell peppers, 1 yellow bell pepper, 1 red bell pepper, 1 orange bell pepper, and about 4 medium large onions, and we've shredded them up in the food processor. We have added 10 tablespoons of canning salt. Canning salt is just a very fine salt, so if you don't have it and you happen to have a herb grinder or coffee grinder, clean the coffee grinder first, but the herb grinder will be just fine. Put your salt in there and pour it around for a few minutes. It will permeate the vegetables quicker, and it's just a finer salt that works better in your canning and melts down faster. So we're going to stir this together, put it in the refrigerator, and leave it overnight. Then tomorrow morning we're going to rinse, and we'll show you the rest then. This is what the chow chow looks like when it's stirred together. Isn't it lovely? It has the beautiful flecks of color from the bell peppers and the green from the green bell peppers and squash, onion. And it's going to take on a whole new look tomorrow after we finish the process. But I wanted to tell you a little bit more about chow chow. It occurred to me that many of you might not know what chow chow is. And in our world, in Oklahoma, my whole family loves chow chow with their red beans and cornbread. And that's a staple at our house, and we like to have a side of chow chow. Now, my father always made it, and he made it from the scraps at the end of the season garden time. He might have cabbage, green tomatoes. The pears might have started ripening, and he'd throw some of those in there. Onions, of course. Just various vegetables. And if he had some peppers, and he liked jalapeno hot things, so he might throw some jalapeno in there. Some of our family doesn't like the heat, or I would certainly be throwing some jalapenos in there too. But just wanted to tell you a little bit more about it, and back with you tomorrow after it's set in the refrigerator overnight. Good morning. We're getting ready to make the brine after we have thoroughly rinsed the squash mixture of bell peppers and onions that we added into the refrigerator yesterday to set overnight. And here's what the brine is going to be. 1.5 cups of cider vinegar, 1.5 cups of white vinegar. Then we're going to add 4 cups of sugar. You can cut back on that by a cup if you want. That's what I do. Then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of celery seed, 1 tablespoon of turmeric, 1 tablespoon of dry mustard, and a teaspoon of black pepper and a teaspoon of nutmeg. We're going to stir that into the large pot, bring it to a boil, and add our squash mixture. And it's going to bring it to a simmer. And once it's to a simmer, cook it for 15 minutes. Then we're ready to add to the jars. The chow chow is in the jars. We sterilized the jars and lids. Then we tightened the lids finger tight onto the jars. They're going to go into the canner for 10 minutes. They're coming out of the canner. Everything's hot, and I can already hear the lids starting to pop. Did you hear that? That's awesome. These over here that are setting, they're the ones that are beginning to pop. And we'll take the rest of them out with our handy dandy little lifter. and let them cool, and then we'll slide the labels on. Squash Chow Chow. The squash is in the jars. They're cooled. They're labeled. And I used the little box that the jars came in to store them in. It slides right onto the shelf nicely and easily and keeps the area organized. I usually just reuse my jars over and over again as much as possible, and hopefully when I gift things to people, they'll return the jars and I'll send some back again. These are mostly for gifts, so I have purchased jars that I think are really pretty because I think that's part of the gift. So I hope the recipients will enjoy, and you guys have enjoyed the video, and we'll try making squash chow chow.